Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence for Just Ask. Today's show, ladies and gentlemen, is What's My Legal Rights? Hurry back and join us. Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence for Just Ask. Today's show, ladies and gentlemen, is What's My Legal Rights? And we have a wonderful attorney who's returning to us on the fourth or fifth time. I can't even keep count. But Attorney Jim Schuster, certified elder care lawyer. Thank you, Jim.
Well, it's my pleasure to be back, Marsha.
I mean, how many times? But it's such a great time, it doesn't matter. How many times? It's as many times that people are saying, can that gentleman come back again and give us some more food for knowledge?
Absolutely, and I'm always glad to. I love to share.
Okay. Now, last time we talked about trusts and wills and children's funds, disabled children's trusts and things of that nature. And a lot of people respond to those kind of questions because they were concerned.
Yeah.
So today I wanted to ask you about what is long-term care?
Well, that's a very important question. I think it's way too often overlooked and way too much misunderstood. You know, a lot of times I say, a lot of the attorneys talk about estate planning, which is death and taxes, as if we're going to be healthy to the last day, then just suddenly drop. No, long-term care is also misunderstood as just nursing home. You're going to need long-term care. No. Long-term care really just refers to the aging journey, and it begins at home. And a simple example is, like my mother, suppose a lady cannot handle the phone because hard of hearing and can't hear anything. She can't call the cable company, the electric company, the gas company, the city. You know, she can't call her doctor's office to make an appointment, or the pharmacy to see if her prescription's ready. She needs somebody to help. And my mother had my sister, who was her executive assistant, if you will. And as the long-term care, the aging journey continues, it gets to a point where a person can't live in home anymore, and then they have to decide, well, do I need a senior apartment assisted living, memory care, or is it really nursing home? And the secret truth is that not that many people spend long-term care in a nursing home. So maybe we'll get back to that, but nursing home is always, I always say the last station on the great train ride of life.
The last station, okay, that's a scary station. Okay, well, you know what, but see, now we don't think in terms of at your home that you having long-term care. When you're at home, you know, you say, I'm just taking care of mom, I'm just taking care of dad, but it is under the title long-term care.
Well, it is. When you think about it, it is a part of the long-term care continuum. It certainly is, because after all, let's say that a senior has no children. Well, if she wants to stay in her home, and she does, what would she do? She would hire, let's say, a home health aid company. Maybe she needs help with bathing, somebody to help clean up the house. And maybe she'd hire somebody like a private duty nurse to handle some of the medical management. So just because a child does it doesn't mean it's not a valuable service.
Okay. But then, now let me ask you this. So with long-term care being in place, it doesn't always just apply to an elderly person. You can apply to a disabled person as well.
Absolutely.
Or temporary disabled person, somebody with a car accident or whatever. So does that term go across the board like that, or is it just...
No, it really can, because if a person has long-term care insurance, let's say, and very few people under age 50 do, but if they did, if they were not able to manage their own affairs, and by the way, long-term care insurance is not what we were talking about. Long-term care insurance typically talks about assistance with ADLs, or activities of daily living, such as transferring, toileting, bathing, eating, okay? If a person has a policy, they could be 30 years old and access those long-term care benefits.
Okay.
Certainly.
Okay. A lot of people may not know that, Jim. They're looking at it like, well, I don't need that till I get old. But they don't realize you can have a car accident, you're going to need it that day.
Yeah, or if you use an ATV or one of those jet skis, you'd better think twice about that.
You got that right. Okay, so by rights, you could actually buy into a package, right? And that's what they call the assistant protection.
Pardon?
program? Is that assistant protection program or asset protection
Oh,
program?
well, yeah. See, I'm an elder law attorney, and let's talk briefly about asset protection.
Okay,
Yeah,
assets.
asset protection, when we look at it, it just means I'm protecting my property, my assets from something. Now, technically, your homeowner's insurance, fire insurance, is asset protection. You're protecting your house. Your car insurance is asset protection. You're protecting, your loss of car, transportation. The super rich people have asset protection trusts, and they have their offshore Cayman Islands bank accounts and all that. For an elder, and once again, I'm an elder law attorney, for an elder, typically asset protection revolves around government benefits, and those are what we call means tested. And the two long-term care government benefits that are out there are the Veterans Benefit for wartime veterans, and then Medicaid, which is the Medicaid nursing home program and the Medicaid waiver program.
Okay.
Now, all those programs are what we call means tested, which means if you have too much money, too much property, assets, you got to do something with them.
Right.
So that's where that kind of ties in. Now, I'm going to just jump ahead, and I just want to put in a little spot here. There are many attorneys out there selling these asset protection trusts, and people are paying $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 for them. And all they're doing is they're putting money in these irrevocable trusts where they can't get at it. And what that means, once again, this long-term care aging journey, it means you don't have money to pay for help anymore.
Because you
put it in this trust, so after 5 years you can go into a nursing home.
Oh.
So
Okay.
So we're not talking about how to hide your money, put it in a trust. We're talking about how to have the best quality of life as you go through the aging journey in long-term care.
Use the money along the way if you should have
Yes,
to.
that's right.
Okay, I tell you what, we're going to go to a break, and I know y'all said, really? Yeah, we'll be right back.
3 out of 4 kids are not as secure as they should be because their car seats are not used correctly. But the latch system makes it easier to get it right and to hold your kids tight. Anchor, tether, latch. Learn more at safercar.gov.
And welcome back to the second half of the show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, every time Attorney Schuster comes and see us, he always gives us a wealth of information that allows you to say, I think I better check into that. Now, if you have a question for any of our guests, and especially for Mr. Schuster, you need to give us a call at 1-800-323-5336, 1-800-323-5336, Twitter, #Facebook. I tell you that all the time. You know why I tell you that? Because, when you ask me a question, I shoot it over to the person you're interested in so that they can respond to you. So, and with that, I'm trying to get you over to the point that, hey, write down the number, call me or email, Facebook, Twitter, and ask a question that you think that's been bothering you for a while, whether it's a legal question or whatever, okay? So with that, Jim, our viewers are questionable because they're getting of age and they are concerned about their well-being as their years go by. And some people are actually single, okay, single elderly persons, and they're trying to figure out what to do and how to do it. When they have a caregiver, and I know it's a bunch of confusion because we talked about caregivers before, that they should get paid appropriately. So is it a 1099 that they should have when they come to a person's house and do some work?
Depends. It could be a W-2, it could be a 1099, believe it or not. Let's just look at the subject of caregivers, because as we said in the earlier segment, a person who needs long-term care begins at home, somebody's assisting. Now, sometimes it might be just a child or somebody managing the business affairs while daughter's at work, she's calling for mom. But let's say it gets to the point where the mom needs actually help at home. Maybe the knees went bad, whatever, so she needs help, somebody to help get her up in the morning, maybe help her get the bathing, then get the breakfast set, then maybe help her get to sit back down at night. Personal assistance, personal help.
Okay.
That person will call a caregiver, whoever is helping out, doing that work. That person can either be a family member or it can be somebody we hire. Now, let's look at somebody we hire. If it's somebody we hire, it's either going to be an agency that we're going to pay about $20 an hour for. Maybe they'll come in for 4 hours a day, or it might be that lady in the neighborhood who wants cash under the table. It might be a daughter who's helping out, and whether she might need payment, she might not. The lady in the neighborhood and the daughter have significant legal issues that need to be addressed. The lady in the neighborhood. under the tax law, IRS tax law, she is an employee. Now, most times she just doesn't want to report taxes. She just wants $10 an hour under the table cash. Well, here's the scenario. Suppose that she's carrying the laundry, trips and, maybe it's down the stairs or a step and really busts up her knee bad. Yeah. Now, maybe she needs knee surgery, torn leg, whatever. Guess what? She's an employee. She has workers' compensation. And you say, well, we were just paying cash. No. Under the law, she's an employee. And if the IRS finds out, then they're going to come to you as the employer saying, we want our FICA tax. That's the Medicare and Social Security tax. And guess what? You got to pay the employee share, you got to pay the employer share, and we're going to assess penalties and fines as well.
That's a lot.
Interest. So anybody who wants to do that, understand the risk, we suggest you talk to an accountant or attorney and get yourself set up legally.
Now you can imagine, Jim, that half of the city people who are caring for someone probably do work under the table.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody's getting Social Security, somebody's getting Social Security disability, somebody's getting food stamps, whatever have you, and they're saying, you know what, I can help, but you have to pay me cash. They've never thought about if they get injured on the property of the client.
That's right. And let's face it, caregiving can be a hazardous occupation. Let's say we have a little lady who's 150 pounds, not big but not small. Suppose the caregiver really sprains her knee or her back trying to help her up, like, Mrs. Smith suddenly starts to fall, she catches her. I mean, it's a physically demanding and dangerous job, so it has to be addressed. So word to the wise. Next point, if the daughter is a caregiver, there's one thing I want to bring to the table, and that's the concept of elder abuse. If you do any reading on elder abuse, like if you were to have the county sheriff here, you'd say 80% of the perpetrators are family. Well, guess what? The caregiver is like in the crosshairs, the target hairs of who's an elder abuser.
Right.
And I always tell a little hypothetical story. What if mom gives the caregiver daughter some money because daughter's not working, mom, and so then they find out, the son finds out, and he kind of approaches mom with, what's this $1,000 missing here, and she doesn't remember. She has a little touch of dementia. The brother might file for elder abuse charges. Let me just give you a little true court case. I'll try to make it real short. This daughter took care of her mom for 11 years, including like 7 years in nursing home. She was the only one to visit daily. And if you know nursing homes, you got to be there daily.
Right.
A totally difficult job. Mom wanted to give daughter some reward, so it gave her the car and some other things. When mom died, the other children protested that, and the court ruled with the children, and some of whom only visited mom twice a year.
Really?
And the daughter who did all that help didn't get anything.
Oh,
Matter of fact, she was punished as, in a way of speaking, as an elder abuser. So the point is, if you have a caregiver, whether you are a caregiver child, talk to an elder law attorney, and then know the risks, fix them. By the way, we can do a contract agreement that'll satisfy the daughter caregiver's problems, that'll satisfy the lady in the neighborhood's problems.
Right. I think that when you have children, especially if you got more than one, and the parent is, in position to give, and they say, well, Sue took care of me, she was there for me all this time, and how the other children get upset about it, the parent should put it in writing, because Sue was there every day, all day, did any and everything the parent wanted. Where Linda visited once in a while, or once, holidays. So when you look at the big picture, to me it is the parent's job to make sure that it is in writing, so that the two siblings won't be at each other's throat as severe as they can be.
And isn't that a scenario that every parent would just hate to happen? To think that she caused her children to become lifetime enemies.
Right.
There you go.
Right. And that's a hard pill to swallow. And it's been going on for a lifetime, for generations and generations. And people like yourself who come along and can smooth out the wrinkles. Most people don't want to deal with you because they say, oh, that's too much money. Oh, no, well, I go to an attorney, he's going to charge me an arm and a leg. Now, I beg to differ. I'd rather know that I can talk to someone for consultation or get advised by looking online or something before it's too late and we're at the crossroads with probate. Because I don't know too much about probate, but I do know that if you don't have ironclad will or trust or something, probate is your friend.
That's
something like that.
Something like that.
Right.
And that's a subject for another day, but the rule still holds quite, I agree. Get your agreement stated, and once again, it shouldn't just be between mother and helpful daughter, it should be between mother and all the family. Get your agreement stated, say what it is, put it in writing, and then nobody can fight it, nobody can contest it later, because speak now or forever hold your peace.
You hear that, parents? Okay. I have a question. So what are some other options if a person can't live at home?
Well, essentially, I'll give you the quick gamut. There are senior apartments, so-called independent living, somebody who just can't maintain a house. Then there's assisted living where a person needs assistance with the activities of daily living. There's also the so-called memory care facilities, which are basically locked apartments, facilities. So the person can't go out, get outside and wander, and then, all their needs are met. They're bathing, they're cooking, they're cleaning. They do all that. So the range in costs currently can go from like $2,000 a month to $7,000 a month. $2,000 for the independent apartment with, one meal a day. $7,000 a month, full memory care with all services provided.
Wow. Okay. So the less assistance you need, the less it costs.
Yeah.
And the more assistance you need, that's where your money goes.
Yeah, now the interesting little thing there, if a person, what we just said, if an audience member thinks about what we just said, what if mom doesn't go to that commercial apartment, but she moves in with her daughter? Should she pay rent? Quite frankly, daughter's saving mom thousands of dollars a month. She wants to share costs. Medicaid is a big problem if mom starts paying daughter's bills. Medicaid is the nursing home program. If mom ever goes to a nursing home, Medicaid's going to say, what did you do with your money the last 5 years? So if she said, I gave my daughter a few $100s every month for expenses, Medicaid's going to go bad. But if mom pays rent, reasonable rent, then it's okay.
Okay.
Once again, you can see how a
Right.
lawyer can help
So you have to be
you,
careful with the terms.
and you got to know what you're doing.
Okay. Well, I'm all ears, so I hope you are too. We'll be right back with some more good information. We'll be right back.
Today in America, drug and alcohol addiction is a major public health crisis. Addiction is one of the defining public health crises of our time. There is no single face of addiction. It impacts all of us and our families. Opioid overdose takes a life every 19 minutes. The time has come to improve prevention and to stop treating addiction as a moral failing. We need to start seeing it for what it is, a chronic disease of the brain that must be treated with urgency and compassion. More than 27 million people use illicit drugs or misuse prescription drugs. Over 66 million people binge drink at least once a month. Together, we can change the conversation and focus on preventing substance use disorders and connecting people who are suffering with the treatment, services, and recovery support they need. We will not hide from this issue because it's hard to talk about. Prevention works. Treatment is effective. Recovery is possible for everyone. For the first time, the United States Surgeon General has prepared a report on alcohol, drugs, and health. Our goal, to provide real hope for the millions of people and their families suffering from addiction. Together, we can prevent alcohol and drug-related addiction, and with treatment, we can give those suffering a new outlook on life. Facing Addiction in America, the Surgeon General's report on alcohol, drugs, and health. To read the report, please visit addiction.surgeongeneral.gov.
And welcome back to the last half of the show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, I don't know about you, but whenever Attorney Jim Schuster comes, it is always enlightening. I mean, you learn so much about the law, and especially when it comes to elder care. Now, I've never really asked Mr. Schuster this particular question, but I know someone at home is probably saying, what is a certified elder law attorney? So, Jim, can you answer that?
Well, absolutely. Now, let me just set the stage first. What's the difference between an elder law attorney and a certified elder law attorney? In Michigan, an attorney can say he or she is an elder law attorney regardless of how much they know about it or how much experience they have. I could say I'm a patent attorney, though I know nothing about patents. If a client comes in, my only duty is to learn on a client's matter, learn what it's about. Certified, what does that mean? Well, what that means is, first of all, there's the National Elder Law Foundation, which has a program certified by the American Bar Association. The components of the program are, for an attorney who must be certified, are one, he or she must prove that they handled a certain number of elder law matters in the past 5 years. They have to be able to prove it. There's different kinds of cases. Two, they have to have references by at least 5 attorneys who know them on a professional basis. Three, and the part where most fail, they have to sit for an all-day examination on the various elder law subjects, and the pass rate is less than 50%. So that is one of the reasons why we only have 18 certified elder law attorneys in all of Michigan.
18.
That's all.
So 18 of you bared that all-day test.
That's
okay.
right.
Okay, and you just had to be. Now, is there a level of you guys? I mean, you said it's 18, but is there levels, or you all know each other?
Oh, well, we know each other, but it's basically, if you're a certified elder law attorney, that's it. We have gone through the process and proved that we know what we're doing.
Okay. Well, that's good, because the word certified stands out over just a person says, I'm an elder care
Absolutely.
attorney. Okay. Now, I did have a question. Why do people have to, or they believe they have to, get rid of their assets before they are transitioned over to a nursing home facility?
And you're exactly right, Marcia. That is what it's about. There are some attorneys out there, some financial planners telling people, oh, there's this Medicaid program that'll pay for long-term care in a nursing home, but it only allows you to have $2,000 of savings and, what they call countable assets. So there's lawyers out there saying you better get rid of your assets and we'll tell you what to do so you can go to a nursing home in 5 years. Now, as you have been discussing prior in the segments in the show, that we really don't want to go immediately from home to nursing home. We'd like to have options like maybe paying for help, etc. What's asset protection about? What's this all about? Well, Medicaid says if you've given away any property, any assets all within 5 years of applying for assistance, we are going to consider you divested yourself of those assets, and that's a no-no. So we're going to penalize you. So there are actually advisors out there saying you should get rid of everything more than 5 years before you go to the nursing home. And I know I'm repeating myself, but I want to make that point. As foolish as it sounds, some people are doing that.
Okay.
Now, we won't go into those mechanics, but really, let me just go back to your questions. But I do want to say that the Medicaid program is kind of like the tax program. And everybody knows the tax program, income tax, has deductions, it has credits. Well, Medicaid does too. So let me just give a message. For the vast majority of people, there's no reason to do anything foolish as pay $10,000 for an asset protection trust just so you can give your money away and have nothing left to really take care of you.
Right. Wow. But people are so fearful, Jim. They feel like, oh no, I got to give everything away. Oh no, I won't go there, then I might as well just stay at home. And even staying at home might be critical for them. They're so afraid that they're going to spend their money, waste their money. But I always look at it like this. If you worked all your life and you saved the money, when you become of age, that's what the money is for. But most people always say, I want to give my kids something. I want to leave something for someone. And I don't understand that when you're in the process of being, misplaced from home onto a ship that you didn't try to board. So I always think that when you know that you have money in the bank, whether it's $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, if it's for your care, it should be for your care.
Yeah. And let me just say that is true, and you can run into a point where that suddenly is, if you will, turned upside down, doesn't make sense. So let me explain that. We've talked about, alternatives to, living in your own home, assisted living apartments. But there comes a time, and because a nursing home is a medical facility, I can't have a nursing home in an apartment building, senior apartments. The only place nursing home service can be provided is in a licensed nursing home. So what I'm trying to get to say is that there are times when a person must go to nursing home. They have no other choice. Right. Medical needs are such. At that point, then, you run into the paradox. Nursing homes cost over $8,200 a month, and Medicaid only pay if you're down to $2,000. So does that mean you have to spend all that hard-earned money down to $2,000. Well, if you listen to some people, they'll say that's what you got to do. Here's what my take is. Everybody who's of nursing home age, typically my clients are like 80 and older, they have been taxpayers for 60, 70 years. Some are 90, so they've been taxpayers 60, 70 years. I say your tax money that you put in, you can consider you have paid for the nursing home. Now that you have to be in a nurse, let's do asset protection now, and we can do it.
Okay, so that's where it should come in.
That's where it should come in.
Okay.
Because we have found we can save 75 to 90% of a person's money. And that does mean if they have $100,000, we can save $75 to $90,000. So no, why should they give it away years earlier? If you ever go to a nursing home, then we can do it. And let me say one more thing, if you got time for this.
Sure.
Most people, if you talk to a long-term care insurance salesman or attend a program, they will have you think every 2/3 out of people age 65 and over will be in a nursing home. When we're talking long-term care, we're not talking post-hospital short-term stay. When we're talking long-term care, there are just some conditions that produce it. 1, dementia, Alzheimer's. 2, Parkinson's disease. 3, some people have strokes and they can't have anybody, don't have anybody at home. Heart attacks don't produce long-term care. Cancer doesn't produce long-term care. Heart conditions. So what I'm trying to say, if you think about that, other than a stroke, these long-term care conditions, they give you notice. Parkinson's is a slow developing disease. Alzheimer's is too.
Right.
So the message I'm giving to folks is, if you come to a nursing home, you can save your money. Yes, you can. But let's say you get a diagnosis of Alzheimer's. That is a good idea to talk to an attorney then, an elder law attorney then, to say, okay, what are my options? What should I consider? And how do I authorize the people I want to authorize to help me out?
But now, my last question for you. So what documents should a person have for long-term care?
I would say to you, and we talk about them in other programs, let's pull it together right here. The powers of attorney with full asset protection power, absolutely necessary. 2, nursing homes are institutional medical places. You need a patient advocate to protect you from the uncaring system. So you need a strong healthcare power of attorney. You authorize your patient advocate. 3, you might be using a specialized trust, but that's something we would decide if at that time what we need, okay? And once again, let me give you this picture. Remember we had in a prior show, what if Mr. Smith has a heart condition, his wife has Alzheimer's, right? So there are specialized trusts that we can deal with long-term care. I'm trying to tie that back in.
Okay, wow. I mean, people really don't know what they're getting into. They just feel like I've worked all my life and I've taken care of my kids. And the last straw is, I'm going to go to a nursing home.
Yeah, and that's not true for everybody. Some it is, but not for most.
Well, let's do our best to save all those that we can, okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Jim, I'm going to have you come back again.
It'll be a pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't help it. I enjoy all of our shows, of course, and when I talk to Mr. Schuster himself, it's just something about that. I can see you asking questions, so I hope that you learned something today, and if you have questions, 1-800-323-5336, Twitter, hashtag, Facebook, all that good stuff, and we'll shoot it over to him. And don't forget, you can always call and ask for that free book, too. Okay, well, I'm your host, Marsha Florence for Just Ask, and what do I always say? If you know a person with a disability or if you just have a general question, don't be afraid to ask, just ask. I'm your host. Thank you.